forces of Lancrefin turned the tide of battle at the gates of Mirgard. Without their aid, the Goal Horde would have undoubtedly broken through Mirgard's stout gates and defiled the dwarves' ancient homeland. The dwarven Efor, Halfgrim, met with Connacht in the Great Smithy. It took no time to establish an alliance between the two nations, but convincing the dwarves to relinquish their most holy of relics was more difficult. Yet in less than a week, Connacht's army began their return to Lancrefin with 100 dwarven demolitionists in tow. Returning to Lancrefin, Connacht strode directly to the main forum to meet with the smiths of Mirthemne. Traval stared in disbelief as Connacht handed him the Ankaric Tomen. True to his word, Traval and the smiths began construction of a Tain. The complexities of such a potent magical device were almost too difficult to master, even for the smiths of Mirthemne. There were many failures, some more destructive than others. After months of sleepless work, the smiths met with Connacht outside their smithy. There they delivered to him the most inescapable of prisons, one that could snatch away a foe and hold him indefinitely within its confines. A Tain. Now, armed with the legendary device, Connacht left to gather his troops and lead them north into the Dire Marsh. Forging an alliance between the Dwarven Kingdom and the Cath-Bruig, it took little to convince the Emperor to let Connacht keep command of his forces from Mirgard. The Dwarven demolitionists, upon their arrival in Lancrefin, went about making barrels of their explosive powders. Disaster was narrowly avoided one night when a messenger entered the Dwarven camp carrying a lit torch. Soon after, the potency of the Dwarven satchel charges were demonstrated before the Lancrefin troops. They were indeed stunned by the devastating potential of the Dwarven concoctions, and somewhat fearful upon seeing the demolitionists' wide grins and gleaming eyes at every explosion. Upon completion of the Tain, Connacht gathered his forces and made haste north into the Dire Marsh. His troops thought him mad to engage the Mercridia on their own lands, but followed their general into the dark swamps. Within hours, a pack of Mercridia appeared out of the mist and charged the army. Connacht leaped to the front of his forces, holding only a small jeweled box in his outstretched hand. With the salivating Mercridia only yards away from the army, a bright flash lit the haze and enveloped the devils. And then, the light was gone, taking the Mercridia with it. The army stood staring, dumbfounded. Connacht held aloft the device and spoke to his troops. "This is a Tain, and with it we will wipe the Mercridia from the face of the world." With the power of the Tain, Connacht's forces became unstoppable. Legions of the devil beasts were imprisoned within the Tain's hungry maw. Those few Mercridia that escaped being trapped within the magical oubliette were hunted down and slain. As the army approached the northern extents of the marsh, they spied a black spire jutting from the marshy landscape. Fortress walls surrounded its base, and mobs of devils and undead lurked about its embattlements. Connacht, shaking himself from a daze of memories, pointed toward the spire and said to his men, "The object of our mission lies within." The walls of the ancient spire were breached. Connacht and his forces swept into the fortress, slaying the last of its defenders. The pack mage, however, was nowhere to be found.